Namaskar, I'm Mrinalini Pandey. I welcome everyone on the Booknerds Author Agency podcast. Today, we have a very special guest with us. We have Mr. Vipul Kulshreshtha. He's a bilingual author. He has retired as the General Manager Engineering Air India. He has written three books. One of his book is a collection of short stories titled Misconnections, and two poetry books which are in Hindi, Meri Rachna Dil Se and Dil Ulfat or Izhar. Today, we will be having a discussion with him, and most of our discussion will be centered around his book Misconnections. So, I welcome everyone, and I welcome Vipul ji also on behalf of Book Nerds. So great to have you, Vipulji, on the podcast.
Namaste. Thank you. That was a quite a introduction. Thank you for that. And it's a pleasure talking to you, and it's a pleasure being on the Book Nerds podcast. I'm waiting. You can just shoot.
Okay, so Vipulji, I will start off I will like dive straight into the conversation and I will ask you that the title Misconnections. So it's a very interesting title, and I will say I will borrow a word from Urdu. The title itself and all the stories they leave you with a feeling called khalish, if I can borrow that word from Urdu, कि ये खलिश रह जाती है. So it's a collection of 8 short stories. So my first question is, Vipulji, why the title Misconnection? Because that also arouses a lot of emotions. And why all the 8 short stories are named after their female protagonists?
So the first part of the question is why the title Missed Connections. Now, when I was thinking of writing a book, it was very clear in my mind that it is going to be a book on love, because love is a genre which has always fascinated me. And it was always also clear that it's going to be short stories. Now, what kind of short stories? Now, when I looked around me, I found that love is not to be seen in its stereotype form, where there is a culmination, there's a union. Many times, love is that unexpressed, sublime, latent love. No, it's not the in your face kind of love, the unabashed love. And many times, at various stages of life, two people meet. They have develop feelings for each other. They spend beautiful time together, and due to turn of events and due to the way the life takes its course, they separate. Not necessarily with bitterness, but carrying bittersweet memories of the relationship or the brief relationship that they had been. And uh, this kind of love kind of prompted me to write these stories. And as you have seen, all these stories are of women protagonists at various stages of their life. There's a story on school going girls, there's a story on a professional girl, there's a story of a retired couple. So at various stages of life, it does happen that two people meet, and the relationship doesn't culminate into a union. They separate, and yet carry nice recollections of what had happened. And since it is not about union, uh, the title Missed Connections. And your second part of the question, why women protagonist? Huh? So, as you must have noticed in the book, each story has a women protagonist. The title of the story is the name of the women protagonist. Woman protagonist. And all this, whether it's the girl in the school, whether it is the professional dietitian, whether it is the retired person, or whether it is the soon to be married, protagonist in the train, they are all very inherently strong and independent people. When I read literatures, particularly Indian literature, I was in a way disgusted with the portrayal of the woman protagonist. Mostly they were that त्याग और बलिदान की मूर्ति, very submissive. You know, the even in Hindi, the titles used to be मजली बहन, छोटी बहन, बड़ी भाभी, छोटी बहू, बड़ी बहू, and the story would inadvertently show her as the all, uh, 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 being subjected to all kinds of problems and not raising her voice, just being the त्याग और बलिदान की मूर्ति. And when I looked around me, I saw that all the women around me were not like that. They were strong, independent women. They knew what they wanted in life, and accordingly, they never took crap from anybody. And I said, let me break the stereotype. I want the woman protagonist in my stories to be like that, who live life on their own terms. And that's how misconnections happen.
That's That's beautiful, sir, because like I was discussing with you last time that I have read Shivani's stories and उनकी जो उपन्यास और कहानियां मैंने पढ़ी. So there I have seen that women were quite self-willed, did exactly what they wanted. But you writing it, like a man writing it, it's even more beautiful to appreciate a woman's individuality. And that I can see in all of your stories, whether it is Ishita Nayak, who is a dietitian and who has this soft corner, that empathy and compassion for the less privileged, whether it is somebody like Surbi Saluja, who's doing a lot of charitable work, whether it is a school going girl who is so much in love with a senior, and she even has the courage to confess her feelings. So that takes a lot of courage. Even I would say as teenagers, you might like somebody, but saying I love you and I will always love you, we might never meet, that requires a lot of courage. So you know and many of your stories, sir, I would say I mean, after reading them, I started crying, especially I would say reading Tina Shah's story, or reading Felicity's story, or reading even Surbi Saluja's story. So many of these stories, they made my eyes welled up. So I would say that all the stories, the protagonists, they are strong-willed. They do exactly what they like, and love. So very interestingly, you have shown love in different dimensions. आपने हर तरीके से दिखाया है. एक है वो बचपन का प्यार, विच इज वेरी इनोसेंट एंड जिसमें कोई बहुत प्योर है. एक है, एक जो रिटायर्ड कपल है उनका प्यार है. एक ऐसा है कि एक इंसान है who's married, but they are going through a bad phase and he feels emotionally attached to a woman. So आपने love के different dimensions दिखाए हैं, and here I will like mention three very powerful stories, three very strong women. That is Surbhi Saluja, that is Tina Shah, and Ishita Nayak. They have love in their heart, but their love translates to something which is greater than their own existence. They want to give back to the society. They want to do something for people who are placed below them. So that is beautiful. And I will simply ask you, sir, that how did you come up with this idea? Because आपने हर तरीके के डायमेंशन ऑफ लव को दिखाया है. आपने स्कूल जाने वाले बच्चों के बीच में जो प्यार है उससे लेकर आपने एक रिटायर्ड कपल जो हैं who lost their respective spouse and they find comfort and solace in one another, आपने उसको पूरा आपने वो ट्रेस किया है. सो ये आइडिया आपको कैसे आया? डिड यू सी एनीथिंग अराउंड यू, और आई मीन व्हाट मेड यू राइट ऑल दीज डिफरेंट स्टोरीज?
नहीं, क्या है कि each woman protagonist that I have written about is a mixture of a lot of women characters that I interacted with or had a ringside view of, or heard from people or somebody's experiences. And ये सारे इनपुट अलग अलग टाइम पे अलग अलग लोगों से देख के सुन के वो I incorporated it into my characters. And another thing that I would like to say is कि, you know, uh, what is required in today's society is the male gender to learn to respect and consider the women folk equal to themselves. And
That
that feeling can only come by breaking the stereotypes in your arts, in your cinema, in the literature, and most importantly, in the family. When the family stops discriminating between their girl child and the boy child and makes it a point to drive home a point to their boy, like the cliche used nowadays, mummy ka raja beta. Huh?
hmm,
They have
hmm.
to stop that showering of love to the male child or giving it more importance and teach the boy to respect his female sibling or respect the females that he meets outside. Only then a lot of evil in the society can be curbed. And enough is
So
not happening.
true.
I happen to be the only child of my parents, the only son.
Hmm.
And my mother was a housewife. She did take up a job temporarily here and there as a school teacher, but largely she was a housewife. But right through my childhood, I was taught to respect women and treat them as their own. And another thing, a concept which is nowadays thought outdated, is very important. And that concept, which now even the girls and the women find outdated, the idea is very important as well as inculcating the feeling of respect in boys is concerned. And that concept is chivalry. You
That's
know,
true. I agree.
right,
I
right,
agree.
right from the childhood, I was taught that if a lady enters the room, you're supposed to get up to show respect. I was taught that when you're going in a car, you get out of the car and open the door for the woman to get out. Now that is showing respect. On the dining
That's
table,
true.
you will not eat until the women or the ladies present on the dining table start eating. After a party or an
That's
event, you will walk your friend or the lady who has come to your place to her home. And when you walk her home, my childhood has been in small places, so many times there wouldn't be street lights.
true.
So when you walk them home, you are carrying the flashlight, showing the way, and you know that her reaching home safely is your responsibility. Okay, so chivalry is important. It should be taught, and it should be inculcated in the rains. If you're walking with a lady or a woman, you offer the umbrella to her. You get drenched, get soaked, no problem. When a lady is carrying a heavy weight, you run and you offer to carry it for her. After dinner,
That
if a lady picks up her utensils and goes to wash it, you take it from her, especially an elderly lady, and wash it in front of her. Now
that's actually so.
these concepts may be considered outdated, but I think they are very, very relevant, especially among
True.
the children. If these values are inculcated from the childhood, they remain forever. And the way
I agree.
a boy or a young man looks at a woman changes. So maybe I got a bit carried away by this.
No, no, sir, absolutely, no, sir,
Yeah.
absolutely right. And I agree with the chivalry part. I mean, I feel it's what is required these days, especially like as a young woman, if I meet men and I find that they are, being not disrespectful, but not showing respect, I just find it uh, put off. So I just find it quite irritating. So what you are saying is absolutely right.
Now, anything that is done is
Hmm,
categorized. Unfortunately, so.
hmm,
There are a lot of emotions attached to every action of a man or a woman.
hmm, hmm,
There's an emotional aspect that is not seen.
hmm.
It is categorized into being sexist. It is into being gender biased. It is seen as adhering to stereotypes, which is not the case. When you are with a colleague who's carrying a bag as heavy as yours, as a man, if you offer to carry her bag also, you're not breaking gender stereotype. Uh, Unfortunately, in
That's
the
good
train,
manners.
that's good manners. That's how it should be, and that's how people
Hmm.
should be taught to behave. Unfortunately, it is not. It is not happening. That is resulting in a lot of problems. And the converse is also true. If you have a girl child and a boy child in your home, you have to teach the girl nowadays to not depend on the boy child for protection, not depend on the boy child for giving shelter, not depending upon the boy child for looking after. You have to teach the girl to be a tomboy. She should be able to change the tire of the car with you. She should be able to clean the spark plugs. She should be able to, run errands. And most important of all, she should be able to take care of herself physically. Maybe physically, women are stronger than, uh, are weaker than men. They are the weaker sex. I'm not denying that fact. But there are ways of self defense where they can take care of themselves, and that should be taught. And that should be taught early, right in the childhood. You know, if if in life they come into an unsafe situation, they they should not just cry for help. Yeah, they should cry for help, but in the meantime they should be able to counter attack. That is very important, very important to be taught to a girl child. And attack how, you know well, they should be made aware of the vulnerabilities and the weak points in a man's body where they can attack, okay, and to save themselves.
So, adding to those stereotypes that you have mentioned, I will just make a reference to Tina Shah's story when you said that men have a certain way of looking at women and they should be given the right upbringing. In Tina Shah's story, Vijay, he's okay, he's neutral, but his colleague, he's bad. So it's also not only the onus not only falls on the parents, it also falls on your company. So he started suspecting Tina, or he started looking at her in a negative way just because his colleague was saying things which actually had no basis to them. So I feel, yes, parents, the onus falls on the parents, the society in general, but also the people a man decides to socialize with. Because अपने में एक आदमी ठीक हो सकता है, न्यूट्रल हो सकता है. He might not be very chivalrous, but he might not be as bad as Vijay's colleague. But then, if a Vijay is socializing with a Raghu, so that will impact and affect his psyche in a negative way. So
Yeah,
I
true.
feel that is also very important. कि आपने
Important, it
कुछ
is
देखा,
important.
एंड इन एनी रिलेशनशिप ट्रस्ट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. बट ये होता है कि अगर कोई आपको कॉन्स्टेंटली बोल रहा है, दिस इज बेसिक साइकोलॉजी, कि कोई बोल रहा है तो फिर इट impacts, it affects how you perceive things.
Right, right.
So
See, I have a daughter, and her first assignment after college was in Gurgaon. And generally from Mumbai, people don't their children to Gurgaon for work. There's a kind of a bias, especially girls, that it's not safe. And she came to me and she said, "Daddy, I've got a good offer from Gurgaon. Should I go?" I said, "Yeah, you must. I've taught you to be self-reliant. I've taught you to take care of yourself. You can manage. See, as long as they are aware of dealing in bad situations and steering clear of unsafe situations, they can be okay anywhere. And she went to Gurgaon. She was there for 6 years, and she managed. And once she said in the lift, I felt unsafe. The boy was uh, looking shady. So I slowly took out a ball pen and kept it ready in my hand that if he makes as much as a move, I will gouge out his eyes. So it can be a
Wow, wow.
ball pen. Yeah, ball pen is a weapon.
Hmm.
Okay.
I would compliment you for the way you've raised your daughter. And we need more parents like you. We need more parents like you who uh, raise their daughters to be bold, to be independent, to take care of themselves, to protect themselves in times of need. And coming back to the topic of love, coming back to all the stories that, as I said, it leaves you with a khalish. And if I can quote moments, one of his couplets where he said, "तुम हमारे किसी तरह नहीं हुए, वरना दुनिया में क्या नहीं होता." So, all of these stories, they leave me with that thought कि काश maybe ये लोग साथ में हो जाते, काश कुछ हो जाता. Especially with, the story where two children are there, they are studying in a school. Vishal is there, Clancy is there, and Vishal also has a soft corner for her. It appears she's madly in love with him. And in one of your stories, I will read out a quote. It is a note which Harpreet Kaur writes for her dear co-passenger. And there she says, "And the lock that you gave me is the personification of the good time that we had together. And these memories would be locked up in a very special place in my heart." So, when they are parting ways on the railway station and she's boarding her train, so it's like, and it's there for all the stories. Ki, two people are there, they are in love, and they will forever cherish beautiful memories of each other, but probably they are meant to part ways. In the same note, Harpreet writes, "I hate goodbyes because they have an aura of finality. Whereas when God Almighty made us meet, howsoever briefly, I firmly believe that He would ensure that our paths would cross yet again. I will wait for that day." So, it just leaves me with a thought, especially in Vishal and Clancy's story, that, they were from the same school and they never met again. So why didn't they meet again there, in the times of social media? Or maybe, I don't know if the story was written pre social media or internet revolution. You know, there are school reunions and get-togethers, so they never cross each other's path. So, that was something which baffled me as a reader. Ki kash milte, because he cherished that card as long as he could, and she had his handkerchief. So, kash mil jate. So, matlab, I'm trying to connect it with what Harpreet had written in that note. Ki, God will ensure that we will meet again. So, दोबारा काश मिलते. So that kind of leaves me as a reader with a खलिश की काश मिलते, school reunion होता, 10 साल बाद भी मिलते पर मिलते. So what's your take on this?
Yeah. See, when I wrote that book, उस टाइम पे वेब सीरीज नहीं हुआ करती थी या या सोशल मीडिया नहीं था. लेकिन लेकिन of course there's all the stories are open ended. यानी there is a chance that they could have met again. And
Hmm,
now a lot of people are telling me, why don't you, we want to know more what actually happened to these people later on in life. Did they meet again?
exactly.
And if they met again, then what transpired? So so maybe if there are enough voices, a sequel
Part 2
to
लिखिए आप.
missed
हाँ.
a sequel to missed connections too.
Miss,
Where
exactly. Where they can meet. Matlab, this is what I felt when I read Ishita Naik's story. Okay, what happened to her? She just disappeared. So, how will he find her in a city like Mumbai? It's a huge city, and she doesn't carry a mobile phone, and she has no permanent address. So, maybe he tries, and maybe he's able to find her through some of her patients or somebody, and maybe Vishal and Clancy can meet again in a school reunion. So you know, you know, they always and another story that really brought tears to my eyes was Angel Face. Acha,
Yeah,
I will just
my
connect.
favorite.
I will
That
just
is that is
uh,
my favorite.
that is you know what, that story left me with the thought we always want to be perfect in the eyes of the person we love, and we are already, no
So,
matter what happens, there's something, life is unpredictable, anything can happen. But if somebody truly loves you, you will always remain perfect, they will always put you on a pedestal. That is what I think of and perceive of love. That how Sarah looked at.
and beauty is skin deep. Beauty is skin deep.
Yes.
Love is something
Beauty.
internal. It is more profound. It is some. It is two spirits meeting. जैसे
Hmm,
कहते हैं ना रूहानी. It's a
hmm.
रूहानी जज्बा.
जी,
So
इश्क जैसे
it has
उर्दू में
nothing to
कहते
do
हैं.
with the look.
एंड उसमें आयरनी ये थी कि सारा, शी लॉस्ट her vision, and jo Rajinder, I mean, his face got deformed because of an accident, so Sarah couldn't have seen him. So which is like the end of the story. But that is one of my favorite that really brought tears to my eyes, and I actually cried reading Surbhi Saluja's story. So I think it's it really leaves you with that thought ki why did this happen. They could have found love and solace in each other, and it could have been a happy ending, because we are so conditioned. We grew up reading Cinderella and fairy tales, so उसमें end में हमेशा होता था and they lived happily ever after. So we are just conditioned into that. So and कि हाँ end में कुछ भी हो, मतलब वो जैसे ओम शांति ओम मूवी में भी कहा था कि पिक्चर में end में सब ठीक हो जाना चाहिए. ठीक है,
बाकी
अगर
yeah,
ठीक नहीं हुआ तो पिक्चर अभी बाकी है
and
मेरे
if
दोस्त.
capital.
So end में सब ठीक हो जाना चाहिए. I will also mention another story, which is Madhu Khurana's story, because I will say that is the epitome of love, because that is sacrifice. And sacrifice, I will say, ki most of the times people just expect a woman to sacrifice for the heck of it. Ki nahi, you are a woman, so you have to prove your love, so you have to sacrifice. But there are situations where your love is so true and so unconditional, and which probably requires sacrifice, and not everyone has the courage, not everyone has is bold enough to sacrifice what Madhu did. So I think firstly it's letting go of the person you love and reuniting with a man who you differ on the grounds of value system and principles. So I think that is another story which really touched my heart.
No, no, but she
Madhu's
goes to the
story.
man, Madhu's story.
Hmm.
She does it because she wants him to be safe. You know,
Yes, 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 that is
she does it for him
huh.
because she doesn't want him to be harmed or his daughter to be harmed.
Yes,
That's why she.
yes.
That's why she disappeared.
Yes, and that is what I'm saying. That true love is like keeping someone else's happiness before yours. And ideally, when you love someone, what do you want? You want to be with them for the rest of your life. But sometimes the circumstances demand you to kind of take a step back, or maybe sacrifice your own happiness for their well-being, for their safety. And that is what I mean, that is the epitome of love. Like how what Sydney Carton did in Tale of Two Cities, that is another thing. I mean, he sacrificed himself, but Madhu reunited with this man who she differed uh, on principles, on the basis of value system. Their value systems didn't align, but she still united with him because she wanted her lover and his daughter to be safe. So that is also sacrificing yourself, बिकॉज़ एक तो आप उससे दूर हो रहे हो जिससे आप प्यार करते हो, दूसरा आप उसके साथ हो रहे हो जिसके साथ आप प्रिंसिपली एक मॉरलिस्टिक ग्राउंड्स पे आपने जिससे अलग हुए थे. सो आई थिंक दैट इज आल्सो अनदर स्टोरी व्हिच इज वेरी डीप. एंड आपने, आई थिंक यू हैव इंक्लूडेड different aspects, different dimensions of love, from a teenager's love to a retired couple's love to sacrifice in love to giving back to the society in general. So I think it includes everything. And I read this book in one sitting, and it's not a very lengthy book. So I would urge all our viewers who are into reading fiction to please buy Vipulji's books. They are available on Amazon. The Kindle edition is also available. Those of you who are, yes, Vipulji's book. Those of you who are comfortable on reading Kindle, so they can buy. The book is instantly available. And we will mention Vipulji's Instagram handle also, so you can follow him on Instagram, get connected with him, because these stories, they will leave you with so many questions. And then of course what we have discussed, that you would want to know ki ab kya hoga, what will happen, will they meet again, what will happen next. So that kind of thing, that thought, obviously the stories will leave you with. So I will simply say, and also Harpreet's story. Harpreet's story is also very interesting because it is not Miss Harpreet, it is Mrs. Harpreet, and she hides that fact. So, do you think it was selfish on her part?
No, I don't think so. It was not selfish, like she writes in a note that she is going to an unknown future, and she's getting this brief respite of spending, happy moments, happy time with someone. So she just goes with the flow until what
Hmm.
is in front of her is inevitable, and she has to got to go and face it.
Hmm.
So if you see it from that perspective, it is not exactly selfish. She doesn't use him. She doesn't give him false hopes.
Yes, that's a very important point which you highlighted, that she didn't give him false hopes. She wanted few moments of respite from a very uncertain future she was heading towards. And I think that man, that co-passenger, she found a good friend and a companion in that co-passenger. So yes, that's actually quite beautiful. So I feel,
Yeah, when
and
you were mentioning sacrifice in love and
hmm,
about you know you forsaking something for someone, being a part of love. So I was asked by a young girl, uh, how do I know that I'm in love? I love somebody. What is the she asked me in Hindi कि अच्छा ये बताइए कि मुझे कैसे पता होगा कि मुझे इस इंसान से मोहब्बत है? क्या मापदंड होता है इसका? क्या क्या कोई तरीका होता है जिससे पता चले कि हाँ, मैं इस इंसान से मोहब्बत करती हूँ? तो आई आई टोल्ड हर देखो ऐसा है, जो पुराने ज़माने की कहानियाँ होती थी कि लड़की को पता करना था कि लड़का उससे प्यार करता है या नहीं, तो कि भाई खून से चिट्ठी लिखो या मेरे लिए तुम ये करके दो, या द फेमस स्टोरी अबाउट अबाउट माँ का दिल निकाल के लाके दो, या या things like that. But the easiest way to know whether you love somebody is when by nature, human beings, Homo sapiens, are selfish. We put ourselves before everybody else. Our needs, our desires, our everyday living concerns are more important to us than everybody else. So I said, the day you start feeling that somebody else has become more important to you than you yourself, then you know that you are in love with that person. कि तुम चाहे भूखे रह लो लेकिन लगे कि उसका पेट भरा रहे, तुम चाहे सो नहीं पाओ पर ये लगे कि वो सुखी नींद सोए, तुम अपनी जान पे खेल जाओ लेकिन ये लगे कि वो महफूज रहे.
hmm,
When you have those kind of feelings for somebody, then you are in love. Otherwise it is all very superficial.
that's a very important point you raise. So I will simply say that there's a difference. There's a difference between attachment and love. So attachments. it's very easy to get attached. People get attached and then they develop an emotional dependence on somebody. That is different from love. Love is something which is supreme, which is divine, rather, I would say. And when you are genuinely in love, then you start putting the other person's happiness before yours. So naturally, that sacrifice or that tendency to
It's a
kind of
natural problem.
forsake you,
It's a
yes, that comes
natural.
naturally. It comes naturally. So most of the times in today's generation, I would say, uh, when people move on very fast, it's basically attachment. You are just attached
It's
and you have developed an emotional dependence on somebody, which is different from love.
that
When you're genuinely in love, then I personally feel that okay, you tend to put the other person's happiness before you, but that feeling, it liberates you, that gives you a lot of freedom. क्योंकि जब तक आपका attachment है ना, आप हमेशा insecure हैं, आप डरे हुए हैं, आप उसके ऊपर इमोशनली डिपेंडेंट हैं, उसके बिहेवियर पे डिपेंडेंट है कि अच्छा उसने ऐसा किया तो आप इफेक्ट हो रहे हैं। व्हेन यू आर एक्चुअली इन अ स्टेट ऑफ लव, और टू बोरो अ वर्ड फ्रॉम उर्दू, इश्क में जब आप हैं, तो आप इन सब चीजों से अफेक्ट नहीं हो रहे, बिकॉज सामने वाला कुछ भी करे, वो चाहे आपके साथ रहे ना रहे, आपकी फीलिंग्स नहीं चेंज होंगी। एंड व्हेन यू रीच दैट स्टेट, देन यू हैव जेन्युइनली लिबरेटेड योरसेल्फ, क्योंकि आप मेयर अटैचमेंट पे डिपेंडेंट नहीं हो। So that is my take on it, of course. That फिर आप एक अलग स्टेज पे हो, आप किसी पे डिपेंडेंट नहीं हो इमोशनली, छोटी मोटी चीजों से आपको फर्क नहीं पड़ा कि झगड़ा हो रहा है या वो इंसान शायद आपके साथ नहीं है, और मे बी पीपल चेंज विद टाइम, सो देन दीज थिंग्स डोंट, they stop affecting you, because you know whatever might happen in the future, your feelings for somebody will not change, whether you end up together or whether you don't end up together. So reaching that stage is beautiful, and हर कोई वैसे उस जगह पे नहीं पहुंच पाता। अगर आप पहुंच गए हो, then consider yourself lucky, because you have unlocked the biggest mystery of mankind, that is love. So so
recently somebody asked me while talking about my
hmm,
books. Somebody asked me,
hmm,
"Ke, sir, you are uh, a retired person and still writing poetries on love and still writing books on love. You should be into spirituality. अब तो आपको आध्यात्म की तरफ जाना चाहिए था." तो my answer was, what is a I'm a very spiritual person. फर्क क्या है? You know, मोहब्बत और जिसे कहते हैं बंदगी, they have been equated and have been designated as one from ages. यानी बहुत पुराने जमाने से। तो क्योंकि जैसे वो गाना है ना कि इश्क एहसास है, रूह से महसूस कर। तो रूह, व्हाट इज रूह? रूह इज स्पिरिट, एंड व्हाट इज स्पिरिट? व्हेन यू परस्यू स्पिरिट, you are spiritual. So it is as simple as that.
I'm into a lot of spiritual stuff, so I will just add कि spirituality समझने के लिए भी आपको प्रेम को समझना पड़ेगा। I will just give one
पड़ेगा।
example. हमें हम सब ने कहानी सुनी होगी महादेव और पार्वती की, कि वो सती थीं और उनकी वो देह त्याग देती हैं, फिर वो पार्वती बन के उनका जन्म होता है, वो सालों तपस्या करती हैं टू रियूनाइट विद महादेव। सो कहीं न कहीं अगर हम वो कहानी पढ़ें, और उसमें ऑब्वियसली अगर हम पुराणों में पढ़ें तो उसमें और सोशल मैसेज भी है कि उन अगर वो साथ होंगे तभी उनका पुत्र कार्तिकेय होगा जो तारकासुर को मारेगा। इट हैज़ मेनी लेयर्स टू इट, बट अगर स्पिरिचुअलिटी और
No, no,
अध्यात्म को भी अच्छे से समझना है।
see the strength of the
हुँ,
love. When she
हुँ,
leaves her body, when she is dead, Shiva
हुँ,
is so overcome with grief
हुँ,
that he is not ready to
हुँ,
leave the body. He carries her body
येस,
in his arms and moves
हुँ,
all over the world. So much so
हुँ,
that the gods are, scared. They are appalled. Okay,
हुँ,
Shiva in grief can lead to chaos. You know. So that is the strength. That is the kind of love. Even our
हुँ।
scriptures are talking about. Huh?
एग्ज़ैक्टली, एग्ज़ैक्टली। आध्यात्म या वैराग्य को समझने के लिए भी आपको प्रेम के मार्ग से गुजरना पड़ेगा. दिस इज माय टेक ऑन इट.
Then, if you come much later on, say talk about Tulsidas. Tulsidas was very much in love with his wife, and she went to her mother's place, and he couldn't live without her. So he in a it was torrential rain, and he uh, ran in the rain and swam the swelling river and reached her in the middle of the night, and just to get a glimpse of her. And his wife, shouted at him. And she said, "इतना अगर प्यार तुम राम से करते, तो संत बन जाते." And that hit him so hard that he, started uh, talking and writing about Ram, and that's how Ramcharitmanas came about. So the very basis of Ramayana, Ramcharitmanas, culminated from love. You know, that's how Tulsidas became a sant. Or later on, Mirabai. Mirabai had not
Yes.
seen Krishna in India. You know, just the concept of Krishna, the statue of Krishna she had seen, and she fell so much in love that she
Hmm.
acquired supernatural power. They made her drink poison.
Poison.
Nothing happened to her.
Hmm.
They put
That.
snakes in her. Nothing happened to her.
Hmm.
You know, that the love, the intensity of love that she felt for Krishna was so strong that it formed a kind of a protective shield around her. So,
That's
uh,
दैट्स ट्रू.
yeah,
इसीलिए इसीलिए प्यार जरूरी है. जिंदगी में प्यार जरूरी है. एंड आई पर्सनली फील आफ्टर रीडिंग योर शॉर्ट स्टोरीज एंड इन जनरल आई फील अबाउट लाइफ कि हाँ, अध्यात्म बहुत जरूरी है. अल्टीमेट गोल वही है कि टू काइंड ऑफ कम आउट ऑफ द साइकिल ऑफ बर्थ एंड रीबर्थ एंड मे बी रियूनाइट विद द डिवाइन और जो परमात्मा है. बट उसके लिए आपको प्रेम और वैराग्य से होके गुजरना पड़ेगा. That is the only path. And maybe on this spiritual and note, I would like to probably end this session, although I want this conversation to go on and on. But it's a very lovely and spiritual note, and it's a thought I would want to leave our viewers with कि प्रेम, वैराग्य और अध्यात्म कि वो उसके बारे में क्या सोचते हैं इन आर डिजिटल एज. जो भी लोग हमें सुन रहे हैं कि हम लोग बहुत जल्दी मूव ऑन कर रहे हैं. मैं उसमें सही गलत कुछ नहीं कह रही, लेकिन अगर आप सच्चे प्रेम के बारे में सोचते हैं, अगर आपको अध्यात्म के बारे में सोचना हो, तो आप क्या सोचेंगे? सो आई वुड वांट टू लीव आवर व्यूअर्स विद दिस थॉट. आई रियली एन्जॉयड टॉकिंग टू यू, विपुल जी. इट वाज a wonderful conversation, and as a reader I would urge you to write a sequel of misconnections so that we can have a conversation on that as well. And
yeah,
one thing that I would want to mention about Vipulji, that in his writings, they are so vivid that you can actually imagine that a man is sitting or in a train and he meets a girl. So you can actually imagine these things in front of your eyes. His writing has that flow. He has that knack for writing. So you will really enjoy all his stories. And thank you. I would thank Vipulji on behalf of Book Nerds Author Agency podcast. आपने हमको टाइम दिया, हमसे ये इतनी इंटरेस्टिंग एक कॉन्वर्सेशन की. एंड वी लुक फॉरवर्ड टू हैविंग मोर सच ब्यूटीफुल कॉन्वर्सेशंस विद यू. थैंक यू.